Well, it is such an honor today to be with two of my dearest friends, Alexander Dunlop and Viki Scudiery, this amazing husband and wife healer team. And I'm excited for our audience to get to know you both because the world needs to know you, each of you, and your work. And I just want to give a plug to Alexander. My husband just attended a men's retreat and he walked in, and I'm going to start crying. He walked in as a different man. So, Alexander, I've had a text message waiting for you to send to you, but I'm just going to call it out here in front of everybody that Alexander is definitely here to help heal the masculine in big ways and to teach about a secret healing modality that's been hidden in plain sight.
Yeah.
And that his beautiful wife, Viki and I went to healing school together. And she has embraced this modality and she's an incredible healer of her own right. And so it's just an honor to have you both here today. Thank you for saying yes.
Wow. What an introduction. Thank you for having us. It's truly, truly a pleasure.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having us.
Okay, well, let's just jump in. So, how the heck did you discover this ancient wisdom that was hidden in plain sight, and where did it come from? So, Alexander, I know you kind of went on the path here. So, can you share a little bit about the history?
I can. There's a long answer here, and I'll do my best to keep it brief. So what we're talking about is the quote unquote regular deck of 52 playing cards, the same ones that you play poker or gin rummy with. It's actually ancient wisdom hidden in plain sight, and it was persecuted in the Middle Ages by the church, and they did a darn good job of propagandizing the masses. So even today, people are skeptical about these cards and don't necessarily want to touch them. But I believe through my own research that these 52 cards, this little unbound book, was actually known as the Book of Life in ancient times, and that people in esoteric spiritual societies knew about it. So, where the Bible references a book of life, which it does many times, and we've all thought that was an allegorical or symbolic reference, I believe it's actually a literal reference because the writers of those texts knew about another text that they referenced as the Book of Life. And then it was hidden in plain sight. It was persecuted. It was seen as a threat to the power structures of the dominant religious orthodoxies, and as such persecuted. And then, in the genius move of whoever did this, it was hidden in plain sight in the 14th century when it was introduced into the public domain as just a deck of playing cards. And that actually, I believe, is what ensured its survival up until today, where it's coming back to light. And in 2012, we had this crossing over of time in the Mayan calendar, which was known as an apocalypse. An apocalypse just means an unveiling of that which was hidden. And that's what's happening right now in this era, starting in 2012. And you know this well, Jen, with your work, the unveiling of the lost wisdom of plant stem cells, this ancient knowledge that was lost and now it's come back to light. It's the same with this deck of 52 playing cards. It's ancient wisdom that was lost and now coming back to light. Based on our date of birth, we all have 13 cards to play. So similar to astrology and like the planets are just where they are when you're born, you have 13 cards determined by math. And these 13 cards are like your soul's blueprint, your human template. And it's the answer that I found that helped me most of any spiritual system, religious teaching that I'd ever found. And then I introduced it to Viki, and as you mentioned, now she has adopted it as well. And we've decided that together this is our life's mission to teach the world this ancient wisdom.
Amazing. And so what can somebody learn from their 13 cards? So can you kind of walk us through what the ancient wisdom is and how it would work for somebody?
So we start with our birth card, which is what you're here to radiate in the world, your purpose in the world. And it's really learning how to activate and embody those patterns. I'll show you what, like, for example, let's use yours, Jen, You're playing the 3 of diamonds, and we've taken the numbers off the card so that you can really see the symbol. So, your birth card being the 3 of diamonds based on your date of birth. The 3 is a channel of energy.
It's a straight
It's
line.
a straight line. It's also about marching to the beat of your own drum, like moving forward, in your own, with your own drummer,
Creating your own way.
creating your own way. And diamonds represent what you value most in your life. So those are on the high side of like really activating, like marching to the beat of your own drum in what you value in your life and going for it.
And creating that and leading that so that you create your pathway. And it might cut against the grain, but you create your own way, and then you invite others to follow. And it's right there in the patterning of the 3 of diamonds. One of the reasons I love it. It's a simple visual language.
And then
Yeah.
and then on the low side, there can be a going back and forth when there isn't the alignment. There's an indecisiveness, and there can be a lot of anxiety in that energy, going back and forth, financial anxiety, anxiety around
Physical
things. Yes, the physical body. So basically that's an example of like your people would learn to activate how to play the card well, how to stay in alignment for example, you playing a 3 of diamonds.
And even
Okay.
before that is the awareness of, oh, this is my avatar. This is my pattern. Because you are not your cards, none of us are, but you're playing it. And that 3 of diamonds as the first card in your life path is like your avatar, your game token. And just seeing for yourself, oh, am I in alignment or have I spun sideways here? That becomes a simple navigational tool to look for yourself. Am I in alignment here or have I spun sideways? And then each of the cards has something similar where it becomes this very simple language and toolkit to know how to be our true, authentic selves in this lifetime.
So how does one maximize this wisdom? It's fascinating. I don't think I recall the sideways 3 of diamond pattern. And it's funny because this notion of wishy-washy has shown up in my life a few times. And I'm thinking, wow, that's not me. I'm not a wishy-washy person. But apparently when I'm out of alignment with my purpose, that's where it's showing up. That makes total sense to me. So thank
And
you
it
for
would
that.
show up in physical ailments, which I know you're from your story. So your cancer journey, if we were to just broad brushstrokes give an overview, what I would say is that that cancer was a manifestation of the way you were out of alignment physically in your life to redirect you to your purpose, which it did. But so if you're born to play a diamond card as you are, then it would show up physically for you. You'd have physical symptoms when you're out of alignment.
Okay, that makes total sense. So, yeah, so coming back to my question, how does somebody maximize the wisdom based on their card? And then I want to talk about each of the suits and kind of what they mean so we can educate the audience a little bit.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely. So
maximizing. So, how do I maximize my 3 of diamonds and not go sideways?
So it's really finding the things that like help you become in alignment. And that's going to be different for each person depending on their cards to play and the energy patterns that are in play. So a diamond would be different from a club, which would be different from a spade and different from a heart, right? So, diamonds, aligning yourself physically. What are the things that, support you physically in aligning yourself?
So you
Like
could look for those and know to look for those tools. But I would take a step back and say the first step to maximize your cards to play is the awareness, is starting with the awareness. Okay, my birth card is either going to be in alignment or spun sideways. That's my fundamental either or. So let me be aware of that and just practice that awareness. As I said earlier, am I out of alignment or am I in alignment? And then, as Vicky's sharing, you can consciously look for tools that would support you to be in alignment. And so, again, well, I don't know if I said this yet, but this is my favorite part of this tool is the simplicity of how it directs our consciousness, that we become aware of very clearly of what we need and what doesn't work for us. And then we can take that consciousness into how we look at our lives and look for the things that support us in our journey.
So we could go one of two paths. One is let's talk about each of the suits of the cards and kind of what they entail. And the other one is what do the other 12 cards mean? So you mentioned at the beginning 13 cards in somebody's path. So you decide where you which direction to take.
I think we can get both done.
I'd actually love to give like a short overview of how the system is mathematical and how the system is an exact replica of the Earth rotating around the sun.
Okay.
There are 52 cards in the deck, and there are 52 weeks in the year. 4 suits, 4 seasons. 13 cards in a suit, 13 weeks in a season. When you add up the solar value of each card, like the 3 of diamonds would equal 3, ace, 2, 3, you add up each of them all together, you get 364. The Joker is the 5th element in a 4-part system, equaling 5/4, which is 1 1/4. You put the Joker into the deck and you have 365 1/4.
Wow. I have
It's a
goosebumps.
perfect
So that's where we start.
Yeah, it's a
I
perfect
mean,
replica of our solar calendar. So it's a perfect model of the seasons and cycles of life on Earth. And so again, in ancient times where people were holding this little unbound book, and books back then didn't have bindings, like books of the Bible written on scrolls, they didn't have bindings. So
Right.
to the ancient mind, this would have been a little book of our life on Earth, and hence the book of life.
Wonderful. Okay. So the
so 4
12.
suits. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
No, go through the 4 suits first and then
4
we'll
suits.
the
So
12
you
cards.
have the hearts, which are all about feelings and emotions.
The heart, yeah.
Diamonds, what you value most, anything that you can perceive with your 5 senses. So
The
the
physical.
physicality of life. Clubs represent the mind, ideas, concepts, and spades represent consciousness and belief systems.
The spade
So-
is an acorn, and the acorn classically is a symbol of the pineal gland. So the spade represents consciousness. So you
Okay.
have the classical divisions of human being, the mind, heart, body distinction that classical philosophers would use, represented in this system: the mind, the heart, and the body, clubs, hearts, diamonds. And then the spade is the symbol of consciousness, which represents the idea that we are actually 3 in 1 beings. We're a holy trinity ourselves that starts with what we believe, which we know, we something that we've started to realize collectively, that everything we are starts with what we believe. And it's represented in this ancient wisdom through the suit of spades. You start with what you believe, then it leads to a feeling, from a feeling to a thought, and from a thought to something that materializes.
And that timeline is getting shorter and shorter as we become aware that we do create with what we believe,
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely.
That's the veil thinning. And so for our listeners, what's the difference between the face cards and the numbers? So does anything change in the book of life when you're a queen of diamonds versus a 3 of diamonds? So can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, no card is easier or harder to play. And funnily enough, when I first started, nowadays people can look up on the website or read my book, so they'll know their cards coming into a consultation. But early on, people would come in, they didn't know their cards, and they would find out there were 2 of diamonds, and they'd be like, oh man, I wanted to be a king. But meanwhile, I would have many clients who were playing a king card where they were really struggling because the crown would weigh heavy. And I would say to them, the 2 of diamonds person, you don't know what you're wishing for, because that king of diamonds card is very challenging as well. So there's no difference in the strength or weakness of each card. The jack, the 10, the jack, the queen, and the king are part of the upper decket. You have the 1 through 9, and then you have the upper decket. And that is like the royal court, which is probably why these cards were given icons. But really, we're talking about the 10, 11, 12, 13. That's the 10, the jack, the queen, and the king. That's the 10, 11, 12, 13. That's what those represent, those numbers.
Underneath the royal faces, there are pip patterns.
Yeah.
So, speaking of the Queen of Diamonds, which you mentioned, underneath is a pip pattern. So that's what, and Alexander channeled this information about the pip patterns for the royals. This would be the pip pattern of the Queen of Diamonds.
The 12 of diamonds.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's a symbol of the golden rectangle.
Okay.
And that's, I think, why the queen, feminine, perfection, beauty, was used pedagogically, symbolically, also as a way to hide the real meaning when it was introduced into the public domain. That the 12 actually represents the golden rectangle.
Wow. Okay. So many alignments, right? As you said, hidden in plain sight. Okay. So let's talk about the other 12 cards.
In the life path.
Yes, in the life path. So what
Yeah, it
does that
overlaps
make
with
up?
astrology. You want to do it?
So the second card in the life path is the Mercury card. And the Mercury card is how you think. So, like I have one client, we just had a conversation about how his Mercury card is the 9 of clubs. And he's like, I'm like, well, you would think to the nines. And he's like, oh my God, it's just like, how accurate it was if it was for him. Constant thinking. And the 9 is a ladder, and you can go up and down the ladder in your thinking, so it could really resonate it for him, like, so yeah, Mercury card for everyone is how you think.
How you think.
And it will be different for each person based on, their life path and their birth card. That's, yeah.
Yeah, so
Okay.
you have planetary sequence of cards. You have your Mercury card, your Venus card, your Mars card, Jupiter card, Saturn card, Uranus card, Neptune card, Pluto card. If you know astrology, you'll know the meaning of those planets. And then whatever card is in that placement will indicate that aspect of your life. So whatever card, for example, is the Pluto card in your life path, that's the shadowy unknown that you may be irrationally afraid of in your own psyche, in your own experience. And then you have the 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th cards of your life path do not correspond to any planets. They're again like the royal court, the next level of your life.
You're learning to step into playing those energy patterns well as you move through your life, if you choose to, if
Right.
you choose to work on
Right.
yourself. And
that's a key thing to say in all of this. We have free will. Nothing about this system contradicts our free will. What we're doing is simply providing the information that's already present anyway. Like the law of gravity already exists anyway, whether you know it or not. We're showing what are the patterns that already exist, that already are in play. Simply by becoming aware of them, that changes everything because now you see what's happening energetically. And so then we don't, hopefully, bump into the same problems over and over and over and over again. We can see the patterns, but we still have free will to choose what we want to do about the patterns.
But when you see the patterns, it's kind of a roadmap at that point, right?
Exactly.
absolutely.
Right. And so how does somebody play their cards? So every day there's a new card. So can you share more about that and how one would play their cards each day?
That's interesting because so you have your own life path of cards, your 13 cards, but you have your birthday. So your birthday is December 2nd and you're that's right? Yeah.
Yes.
And your December and your 3 of diamonds, right? And you have your life path based on the 3 of diamonds. But then today, everybody, there are birthdays every single day, right? So every day there are cards in play that we're affected by. We're affected by an energy pattern. So for example, today's cards are 4 of hearts, 8 of hearts, So 4 is about structure and organization, foundation. The heart represents emotions, feelings. And the 8 is about, expansive and weaving together emotions and getting together with friends and family and also an emotional, feeling kind of energy, right? Open. Yes, exactly. So it's, knowing that that's what's in play and utilizing the information and the energy to have the best day that you can. Now, what's interesting about today is that we just happen to be doing this on my Pluto day. So my Pluto is the 4 of hearts.
For her life.
For my whole life, right?
Okay.
So anybody playing the 5 of diamonds as their birth card will have the 4 of hearts Pluto. And so for me, the unconscious hidden fear would be feeling and expressing my feelings, which was a pattern for me in my whole life. Like I would push my feelings down and have sort of a facade like everything is fine and not be honest with what I was really truly feeling. And I hated Halloween.
Today is
And
Halloween.
today is Halloween, like, so, that energy, when I was a kid, like was tuned into something then because I did not like it. It was bringing up stuff for me.
Right.
So it's pretty fascinating. Yeah, it's pretty
So
fascinating.
what to clarify, to say it maybe slightly differently, if we're moving through cards each day, energy frequencies, and if you're born today, as we're recording this, then your birth card would be the Four of Hearts with an Eight of Hearts personality. But we're all passing through these energy frequencies every day, whether we realize it or not. And again, we can consciously tune in, which makes life go smoother. We can tune into the patterns so we're not trying to swim against the current. We can swim with the current. And what Vicky's pointing out is that if the Four of Hearts is a significant card in your own life path, then you will have that experience that day. So if it's the Pluto card for your life path, then something unconscious and hidden may show up for you that day.
Okay.
That's why we have different experiences each day. We're all passing through the same patterns, but we interact with the patterns differently.
What's fantastic about that and knowing that is that, like, I know people will wake up feeling a certain way, like, oh, why do I feel this way? Or what's going on today? Or, and it explains so much to know the energy patterns in play. It just explains it all, basically.
I mean, Vicky,
So how does somebody find out what the energy patterns are?
oh yeah, thank you.
Yes,
Good plug
please.
opportunity. Well, let's start by saying that if you want to find your life path, I wrote a book about it, and you can find that on our website, thesourcecards.com. And then on
Play
our
Your
website,
Cards Right is the name of the book.
the book's name is Play Your Cards Right, A Sacred Guide to Life on Earth. And to find out your daily cards, we created something we call the Daily Game. And you can sign up and join our community. We're chatting in there every day, talking about the game of life and how our day is going and what the patterns are that and how we're experiencing it for each of us throughout the day. My bigger vision is that one day, hopefully sooner rather than later, it'll become like a social media platform where we're all tuning in each day to the collective energy frequency of the day, all harmonizing our human experience around, again, this pattern that's already there, whether we realize it or not, and then interacting from that place together in harmony with the pattern of the day and chatting, communicating within harmony about the pattern instead of the fractured discourse that would happen on current social media platforms. We can set up a social media platform where we all get to be in harmony with the collective energy and with ourselves.
Amazing. So that is something you're building that's coming.
That's what I'm working on, that we're building. And I mean, we have it already. It does function that way, but we don't have a large body of people yet playing along every day. Where, like the 100 monkey theory, I'm looking for that threshold point where we have enough people playing along, like where the studies have shown that people meditating in a city and crime goes down because enough
Yep.
people are meditating. I believe when we have enough people playing along in the daily game, we will affect the harmonic resonance of our world and we'll have a more harmonious world.
So how does somebody in today's world that is pretty toxic, right? Toxic physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, that we're living in right now, how can they embody the system to live their purpose, their best life? What do you recommend?
It's really learning the cards in the life path, which is a process. It's not like a one-shot deal, where you just, oh, let me know each one. It's like going through each of them. And when, in a way that feels in a timing that feels right for the person. I mean, you could study your birth card for a year, like, or more years. So it's just really learning the different cards in the life path and learning how to play them well and learning how to recognize when the patterns come up, like how when someone is playing not well, like when they're on the low side of a card playing out. I really like looking at the Saturn and the Pluto cards.
Mhm.
They are so illuminating for the patterns. Like often with a client, I'll go right. We'll talk about the birth card and also what's called the personality card, which we haven't talked about yet. But then I go into the Saturn and the Pluto, which are the challenging energies. That's where those patterns, you're going to see those patterns, you know.
And again, starting with clarity of awareness, simply to see them. And that's what people often say is just by seeing it, it can change everything. It's like, oh, wow, that's why that, and that's why that person does that. And that awareness is often a game changer in and of itself.
So how do you help change the mindset? And I'm asking this question because I've gone through this, with the plant stem cells. The mindset is give me the quick fix,
Mm,
tell me what to do, right? The current state of our environment.
mm.
How do you help people overcome the fact that they've been playing games with these cards and that actually it contains all of this wisdom and knowledge? Has that been a challenge? Has
Yeah.
it been easy? Because I
No.
love the fact you took the numbers off because then you can just see the patterns. But so
You're putting
share a
your
little bit about that.
you're putting your finger on what I believe is the most difficult problem we face, which is that mindset shift of seeing what these cards really are and how they can really help. And interestingly, one of the reasons I have noticed that people dismiss them even after I share the information with them is the simplicity of it.
Mm.
They want something to be more complicated, and then they'll go to their human design or their Vedic astrology or other complicated esoteric systems, which are fine, which I love those systems. The simplicity is often a turnoff for people. They want it to be more complicated. And then there's the average person, let's say, who doesn't even know. And just yesterday, I had somebody tell me they don't want to know. They
Interesting.
don't want to know.
Hmm.
I haven't found the answer yet to that question of how to overcome that mindset.
Something,
That
something
made
that,
me cough.
oh, yeah. Something that comes to me is that to approach, well, of course, you have to know their cards to play to do this, but to approach people from their cards to play. So if I'm going to talk about this to someone who's playing a heart card, it's going to be as a birth card, it's going to be very different than if I talk to somebody who's playing a diamond card. So it's like tuning into like their primary way of being and talking to them in that way. Like that when you say change the mindset, it's like I'd be approaching it from like their primary energy of how they, run their energy in their life.
You're meeting them where they are and
Yes,
you're
thank you.
using the words that are going to resonate
Yeah.
with them. I love that. So tell me a little bit more about the personality card. How is that different than the life?
Then the birth card. So the
Yeah, than the birth.
personality card, we could say, is the second most important card in your life path. Here's where the system overlaps with astrology very closely because that personality card is determined by whichever planet rules the astrological sign that you're born into. Then, of the sequence of cards in your life path, that planetary card functions like your personality. It can be like how you show up in life, how other people will see you. It could even be how you identify. And for you, your personality card is the Five of Spades. And the five is a catalyst, a change agent. Spades, consciousness. So you would have a vision for changing how we see reality and how we see
Boom.
our world. And that's your personality. And that would be what you lead with. Like, I'm a change agent and I'm here to catalyze a change of consciousness. And underneath the birth card of the Three of Diamonds is I'm going to follow my own instincts. I'm going to march to the beat of my own drum as I implement this change of consciousness.
Could not be more accurate. Yeah, I have found this to be, I mean, I love astrology. I think it shares a lot of information with us and wisdom, but this system to me just blows me away every time.
I love the simplicity of it and the
Yeah.
visual of it. It's a visual language, and we can look at the visual symbolism and know the meaning of the card just by looking at the visual symbolism.
What has been the most challenging part of taking this on? Like, this is a movement, right? It's a huge undertaking. What has been the biggest challenge for you both?
Well, for me, it's like I feel like a little kid in a candy store about it, and I'm just so excited, and so I'm like wanting to scream it from the rooftops, and then like, working really hard to make that happen, and creating reels and doing a lot of social media, and then like it's not quite landing, I guess, in a way. Sometimes it just doesn't kind of like, and then I will like, feel challenged, hopeless. Sometimes, I've definitely go through my moments of like, okay, just have to like move through that and, reactivate my shiny five of diamonds essence again, and and keep going, like it's because it's if we're not only, it's like it's about healing, coaching, guidance, but it's not only that, it's something that's completely out of the box. It's so there's two things happening, like a completely different way of seeing things, from this ancient system.
It's a massive
So it's
paradigm
like,
shift from the current paradigm that we're still operating in unconsciously, which is the biblical monotheistic paradigm, which says that there's one right way, one truth. And this system says it's a 52 factorial system
Mm.
of reality, where the factorial is our free will. In a 52 factorial system, it's literally infinite in its possibilities, even though it's a finite construct. And that's the big paradigm shift, is to recognize that there are infinite right ways of being, right ways of living. That's not what we've all learned over the last many thousands of years. So that's a massive paradigm shift. To answer your question, for me, when I started in 2010 and made the commitment to myself that I was going to teach this knowledge, I thought for sure within 5 years I'd be on Oprah reading her cards to play.
Uh,
And it just hasn't happened. It's been a slow grind. As Vicky alluded to a moment ago, we put out great content, which we know is great content because people also tell us you've got great content, and it doesn't seem to move the needle much. It doesn't seem to get the traction with the mass consciousness, collective humanity. I've been told, and I believe it's true, that it is simply a matter of timing. That at the right timing, at the inflection point of consciousness, when there are enough people really looking and are awake to answers like this, then it will land well, and it'll hit in a big way for people. But we haven't gotten there yet. So it's been a grind for us, and it's been financially challenging, to make a living supporting our family by doing this work, to have enough clientele to pay the bills. It's been challenging, and it's been an act of faith for me. It's been a real journey of faith to trust in this process that this information needs to get out there. This is game changing, life changing wisdom that was hidden in plain sight. And I'm going to do it. Gosh darn it.
we'll do whatever it takes.
We'll do whatever it takes. We'll get this out to the people because the people need this. This is a tool for the people. Nobody owns it, nobody controls it. It's open source information that helps us all to elevate our lives and live in harmony with ourselves and with the people around us.
and with humanity,
Mm-hmm.
which is so needed right now. And so folks can find you at thesourcecards.com.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And I would highly recommend that everybody listening go to the website. Viki and Alexander are amazing, amazing, amazing. And the wisdom that you're bringing forth is just, it's required on our planet right now. It's so
how we're going
important.
to elevate to the next level of our humanity. We can't keep doing what hasn't been working. We need a whole new paradigm. And I believe that that's what this offers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Amazing.
Thank
Well,
you.
you both so much. Any last things that you'd like to share?
Just that this has been life changing for me and so confirming to know my cards to play absolutely life-changing. I mean, you know me for a long time. I've been on the path of growth and evolution for a really long time. It's about 30 years. And when I met Alexander, I met him 12 years ago, and he told me all about myself in 20 minutes. And I was like, wait, I just spent, so at that point, it would have been like something like 20 years. I just spent 20 years of my life, like learning about myself. And you just told me all these things in 20 minutes, It is profound. It is profound knowledge, and it gets right to the point. So if you're ready, I highly recommend it.
To be ready.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I highly recommend it. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Jenn. And we
Yeah.
love your work, what you're doing with Nature Provides, and the beauty and the power and the benefit of plant stem cells. So thank you for doing what you're doing.
Yeah, I think we're at a time on the planet where people are waking up and they're ready for these ancient modalities to come forward because we need them. We need them more than ever. Well, thank you, thank you, thank you. I love you both. I'm so grateful for the work that you're doing, and I hope many, many more follow you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jenn.